talking about Oasis, John. And Oasis, we were talking about a few weeks ago. Obviously, the reunion was all the buzz at the time. Oasis Live 25 tour. We didn't get tickets, folks. John tried his best.
I was up at the crack of dawn.
Yep, and
eyes are still sore from it.
Oasis,
it's not a crack of dawn. It's a normal time for people.
Reportedly in talks to produce a documentary capturing the long-awaited reunion of the iconic band just ahead of their upcoming Oasis Live 25 tour. This documentary is set to chronicle the band's journey with a special focus on the reconciliation of the Strange brothers Liam and Noel Gallagher, with a major UK and Ireland tour planned for next year. Fans can look forward to seeing the much anticipated reunion, not only live on stage, also documented on screen. This is the thing that I wanted to see, John.
Yeah.
And obviously the sort of backdraft of that big news that came out a month ago, I was looking for them being on chat shows, but I was being very naive. They're not going to talk about this right away, but they will eventually appear on your Graham Nortons and your Jonathan Ross, etc., and they will talk about this, because I'm very intrigued to find out. You mentioned it, John, when we talked about it last time, that it was late night phone calls the two of them were having. Just reconnecting with each other as brothers more than anything, not as superstars in a big group or anything like that, but as brothers. They were talking like two normal guys try to reconnect with each other after obviously a 16-year absence. That's what I want to see. I want to see both of them talk about this. I've not seen anything online about it yet, probably because it's can make them a lot of money with the exclusives. I'm not wanting to just sell this story very short. So what do you think of this, John? I want to see some kind of behind the scenes stuff, obviously, because we're not going to get to see this. It's not going to be televised, but perhaps maybe
I'm still hoping it will be
behind the scenes stuff. You know, behind obviously the stage. I
just feel like they'd be fools not to at least put it on box office or something, pay-per-view, allow you to watch it live in London or Manchester. I feel like that would be a really idiotic decision, because you could make an absolute mint. I mean, they've made about, what, I think they were predicting 400 million from ticket sales in the initial sort of dates. Why not put it out? You've made the money. The buzz is there. Why not give people who were not fortunate enough to be there the opportunity to watch it live? Such an iconic moment for music. These two getting back together, just the gang getting back together, Bonehead, and what was the other? Was it Chris, the drummer?
Yeah, I can't remember his
second name.
It was in BDI, and he was in obviously the Flying Birds as well, wasn't that drummer? It was, and so was Game Archer.
And Game's back, isn't he? Game is in there as well. It's going to be interesting just to see that, just how they work that out, that dynamic. Who's playing bass, who's playing guitars and whatnot, because Game's kind of felt in for Noel in BDI. Is he going to do like the Pat Smear role? Because Bonehead was usually the rhythm, wasn't he?
He was rhythm.
Noel was the...
Game kind of replaced Bonehead.
Oh, he was Bonehead, and then he replaced Noel.
Andy Bell, who was actually the guitarist in his own band. I can't remember who they were at top of my head. But
there was a guy
he had to learn bass to join Oasis, because Noel wasn't going to.
I'll tell you what, Liam was performing at the Anthony Joshua fight the other night. His vocals weren't phenomenal, but you expect that. He's not 22 anymore. And they're never going to be 94, 95. But I was blown away by the actual the instrumental stuff. The guitarist, I don't know who it was playing on a sort of custom Gibson. It was pretty fucking good. I don't know if that's, I mean, I doubt it. I think it'll be Bonehead, it'll be Game, it'll be Noel. Probably Bonehead on bass. But I digress, man. That's neither here nor there. Stephen, I'll just be amazed if these two actually make it in one piece too next year. Still talking.
I hope so,
and we actually get this sort of reunion tour. I'm still in the back of my mind seeing them.
Liam's going to say something.
Battering hell out of each other, and it all ending in tears before a single gig happens. But if it does, then this is a great idea, man. You can't beat a good documentary at the best of times on any band, on any sort of tour. I mean, it's just great to see behind the scenes, the sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the best word here. The inner workings of a tour and how it all comes together. It's a real team, an army of people, the stage and putting it all together, the sound design and just the timing to get them there, and then being on the stage with them and living that buzz. I've seen multiple fucking documentaries like that, the Foo Fighters and other bands. So it's always good no matter what, but when you're talking about Oasis after nigh on the guts of a decade and a half being apart, these two very fiery individuals, two godlike, as they would probably call themselves, geniuses, together in a room again, that is going to be fucking dynamite if they can capture it. And you can totally understand why Prime, Netflix and Apple TV Plus are battling it out.
John, it's interesting that it does say that, according to an insider who spoke to The Sun. Apple TV Plus bosses are reportedly vying to capture the brothers in the run-up to their trek next summer in a documentary similar to the Beatles' Get Back, which showed the making of the iconic band's 1970 album Let It Be. The difference in that, John, is that the Beatles were doing everything from scratch. The Oasis aren't doing that.
No.
They've already confirmed they're not doing any new material. There's no new album on the horizon or single. It's all going to be their back catalogue. So I don't know how you can compare it to that, because we saw these films, these songs flourish within that documentary. We saw Get Back from Paul McCartney just strumming on his bass and what it became. Just as one example, we're not going to see that. What we probably will see is obviously a lot of rehearsals and banter and stuff like that between them.
Yeah, I mean, you could just capture the energy just even of being there in the moment with them, because that's what I took away. It wasn't so much the constructing of the songs and bringing the album together. I've seen that done before via snippets and little bits of songs and rehearsals, audio and video on YouTube for years and years. It was brilliant to see it all brought together as a whole and just given unbelievable treatment from Jackson and obviously his team, polished to the point where it could have been filmed fucking a week prior instead of like 50 years. But it was more about the energy and being in a room with them. That's what I took away. I was buzzing coming home from work every night. Knew one had dropped. I've checked the running time, it's like 2 hours or whatever it was. I'm like, fucking hell. They're just sitting here with these guys, and not just the band, but the actual peripheral figures in a room with them. You felt like you were there with them. That's what I took out of it. So if you can capture a similar vibe and energy with Oasis, where you're almost sitting in the room with Noel and Liam and obviously Bonehead and all the other people living this tour, I would love them to just journey through all the different. I don't want it to be one night. I want it to be the whole fucking tour, because I've seen it spoken about before. I can't remember whether it was Oasis or whether it was actually Nirvana. I was watching a great documentary not documentary, it was an interview with Conan O'Brien, Chris Novoselic, Dave Grohl, and it was the producer on the first or the second album, In Utero, and they were talking about prank calls and whatnot, but they were talking about the gigging and how they get panned with critiques who'd turn up after the first night or the second night. And apparently I think it was who was it that took it to heart? It wasn't Dave, it might have been Kurt, but one of them took it to heart anyway. And the producer says, look, fucking don't listen to that nonsense. It may have been actually another act, a singer or whatnot, says don't listen. Anyone that knows anything knows that it takes a couple of nights to get your shit together, to get into rhythm. Seen it spoken about with the Stones as well. Their recent tour took them a couple of nights to get back into the rhythm. So I'd like to see that captured. Maybe not constructing a new album and original songs, but just seeing them getting back together, try to get back into the rhythm, how long it takes, how many nights. So I don't want it to be one night, I want it to be the whole fucking tour and capture the best bits.
I'm glad
without disrupting the energy and making it unnatural, because you want them to maintain that natural vibe. You want it to feel organic.
The sort of purpose of this is for generations that missed them as well. So it's only natural they're going to relive those songs again and bring them into obviously this generation's ears. And I don't mind that, because I was watching a documentary about Noel the other day, talking about Be Here Now. He says it was the worst thing they did. He says in terms of obviously that moment in his life, it was the best time of his life. He said it was just an absolute a riot. It just had such a laugh. But in terms of that album, he says we should have just backed off for a few more years, let What's the Story run its course, fade away before we went back in. But they went from What's the Story into a big tour and then right into the album. And overproduced. Songs were too long, that kind of thing. So that's the pressure of being obviously a success. So I don't want them to get into a new album on the back of this pressure. Let them do this. They need to exercise all the demons in this tour and straighten a lot out in terms of relationships and get back to, obviously being the best band in the world, which they were for a period of time. And that was, people used to laugh at Noel and Liam saying that, but you look around at the bands at the time, there was...
Look around after.
There was
nothing been like them since. So there's been nothing.
So in terms of that, I'm glad that they're just sticking to that focus. They're sticking to the live stuff at the moment. It always intrigued me when the Beatles were talking about it as like solo artists throughout the 70s. What would be if they were to come back? John Lennon said it would probably be in the studio rather than like a stage show, like a live concert, he was meaning. And I always thought, well, it's good. I don't try and do too many things because there's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation as well in a new album, certainly for a band like Oasis, because they're only going to compare to their earlier work. They always have, to be fair, you know, when the sort of changed in the sort of early 2000s, the lineup changed, there was always that comparison with the old Oasis and the new Oasis and the albums, etc., and the singles. I think it's very unfair. You know, bands are naturally going to progress. They're going to change and they're going to evolve with the music they're playing.
Life
and
experiences change as well, and that affects the writing and what you're singing about. You can't sing about being poor.
I will say though,
kicking about
Council
Manchester.
Skies was a fantastic album, John.
Yeah, it was
really good album.
Still
That was writing from probably the mid 90s. I felt the quality of the writing and what he was writing about.
There was a great documentary that may have been about that album with Noel in the studio, and it was an older guy playing lead guitar, and it was just brilliant watching them putting the song together. Just give him little tidbits there. I would like you to change that. And went in and knocked the solo out. It was just brilliant seeing him behind the scenes, very relaxed in the studio, putting the songs together. So he's got that way about him in front of a camera. No, he's great to watch and listen to. He's a very clever guy, very charismatic guy, very funny guy, very cutting guy. Liam is kind of those things as well. Maybe not as clever as Noel, but
he brings the energy.
Yeah. So just seeing these different personalities, it's going to be great. It's definitely the right decision to make a documentary. Yeah. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to capture this moment. You're never going to get a chance again. I just hope it is a full tour sort of thing, and then they can cut it back. I mean, you can never have too much footage. Yeah. You can capture like 800 hours of footage or whatever, what they had, crazy amounts of footage with the Beatles. And then you can choose to cut it back into something meatier. But if you've not got enough, then it's going to be lacking. You want something really, I don't know, sizable. You think of Dylan, man, that great. What was it? With No Direction Home?
Yeah.
Followed them all the way. I mean, what was that, the whole tour they followed them? I want to say, or was it just in Britain?
I think it was, no.
Because it was in Glasgow, was that where he was in Queen Street?
Yeah.
That was that documentary.
I'm trying to remember, it was so long ago. I'm talking 20 years ago since I saw that. But just
you
what I recall,
you want a lot of footage.
I was just checking the sound.
Yeah,
I actually forgot to check earlier.
No, I changed it for sure. But there's always that doubt. But no, I'm just again reiterating, I'd like to see them capture as much footage as possible, but do it flying the wall, do it out the way, so you're not disrupting anything.
Not disrupting them. I don't think they like being on video anyway. Particularly no, he said that himself a few times in the video for whatever. He was coming back from a party or something like that, and he hadn't even got home, and they were picking him up to go in and do the video. You can see it in the video, that for whatever, the black and white one.
Yeah.
And you can see him munching down McDonald's chips.
That free to be whatever.
He's definitely hungover.
Yeah, I think they were always hungover. Stephen, man, the last thing I would say, unless you've got anything else to add to it, I was listening, I think it was fucking Radio fucking X. I can't remember the name of the radio. I don't really listen to it. They've always got Liam on all the time. I think he was on with John Squire. They were asking him what his favourite drinks are, going to the pub and whatnot, and I was just transported back to the 90s with him. He was talking about, I like a bit of this, I like a bit of that, I like cider, I'll drink vodka, I love it. Talking about wine, how it's heavy, you need to watch your wine. I'm like, you're fucking right, Liam. Because Stephen here, many Christmases, has presented wine to me when I've already been drinking heavily. And the wine's always the one that sends you over the edge. You think, that's only a glass of wine, that's fucking nothing. Before you know it, you're absolutely steaming and you're laughing at fucking gooey cheese. So wine is a danger. But it's just great listening to him talking. I'm like, I'm transported back to the pub, man. I would have loved to have been there in the mid-90s with those guys, getting out and getting fucking rattled in a pub. It would have been brilliant just to experience it. So I'm anything I can get. Oasis, William.
Sounds like my days in the 90s.
Yeah.
After work.
Just better times, weren't they, man? There was no bollocks. There was nothing. There was nothing like what we've got now. All the eyes on you.
Yeah.
Having to worry about pish. It was just much better times, simpler times.
Yeah. Great.
It was sunnier as well. I don't care what anybody says.
John, we're going to
Definitely
move
was
on.
sunnier.
But before we do, folks, what do you think of that idea of Oasis having a documentary, a behind-the-scenes look of obviously the lead up to next year's shows in the UK and Ireland? Are you looking forward to that? Have you got a ticket? We'd like to know if you're
Fuck off if you have.
if you're going to one of the gigs or not. Drop all those comments into our comments section. We'll certainly read them. Probably with envy if you have got tickets, and we'll reply to them as well. Maybe not the way John just did, but we certainly will.
That's the way Liam would reply. He actually did. He told someone to shut up or something like that.
I've been I follow. I don't go on Twitter a lot or X a lot, but I do for his entertainment value. He's very, very good on social media.
Yep.
But
Very
we're going to
fact.